Welcome in the ring to each and every one of you. Wherever you're joining us from, welcome, welcome, welcome. Share the light, smash that emoji button if you can, folks. Partner with us as well. Yep, good to have each and every one of you with us. Let us know if you're hearing us loud and clear. We got all the numbers, all the lights and so on bubbling up here, telling us we have audio going out. But you let us know. You give us some feedback. Annette Cummins, I see you there. Annette, good night. Kim Walker, I see you too. All the other beautiful folks who are joining us, good to have you. Y'all say something in the comments so I can see the names and call them. We got over 38 people joining us 40 seconds into the broadcast. Abida Monroe, here you come. Lynette Finance, here you are. Edward Brooms, good to see you. Me, Paulette, good to have all of you on the line this morning. Gwyneth Jones, Wilma Grant, good to see you. Look how you're all pouring it out. As you come in, smash that emoji, but no wait for nothing else. Good to have you folks. Alexis Joseph, as you come in, smash the emoji button. Carlton Perry, good to see you. Valerie Clark, good to see you. Lester Williams, good to see you. Desiree, good to see you as well. And Jennifer Headley, and we got Melanda and Roxanne and Chanel. Smash the emoji buttons as you come in. Dan Graves, Andy, I spot you already. Mavis Davis, well, I spot you already, man. Joel Newton, good to have each and every one of you with us. Auntie Sandra, good to see you. 12 emojis so far. You all wicked. Smash that emoji button. Over 300 persons now. A minute and a half in. Jacqueline, good to see you. Karen Black, how you doing? Andrea, Evan, good to have you. Romel, you all smash emoji, but as soon as you come in, don't wait. You don't wait to see who doing what and so on. Nigel, Mackenzie, good to see you too. Carol Jacobs, good to see you as well. And James and Roxanne and all the other beautiful folks who are joining us tonight, uncontroversial and so loving. Good to have you. Shanella Bacchus, I spot you there, Shanella. Good to have you as well on the live. How you all doing? How you all doing, folks? Had a fantastic day. Missed the morning program. But I'll show you why in a second. Missed the morning program. Michael, good to see you there. Rena, Iban, Marcia, Desiree, Carol Jacobs. We see you as well. Of course, Humi is here. Sherwin is here. Did I see Sherwin Benjamin? Did I see that name rush by? Did I see correctly? Barely start. Marcia Fordyce, Rena, Desiree, Diane, Michael, my God, Rosetta, Lester. Good to see all of these wonderful, beautiful folks. Desiree and Greg. I see we got Yonette here. Edward, good to have you too. Debbie Ho and Kirk, good to see you. Kim and Giselle, good to see Sheena. Good to see Angeli. Maxine Still, good to have you as well. And Brian and Edward, good to have all of you. Look, story now. Deborah Clark is here. Zoan Stewart. I see Patricia Asana. I see Nigel, Brian, Denise. Good to have you. Come on, smash the emoji, but let me go for the business, man. I sure I called more than 41 names already. Look, 41 emojis. Y'all look at 600 of you here. I see Kenny Valadares on the live this evening rather. Pace and power to Kenny. Ring the bell one time for Kenny and whoever Kenny watching with. Whoever Kenny watching with tonight. I'm ringing the bell for that person too. Kenny, good evening. Pace and power, Iban and Arena. And if Kenny's on the live, you know something special. You know it's going to be something special. Good to have all of you. Debbie and Joyce and Brian. Good to have, I see Nigel and Maxine. Patricia's here. And the whole gang is here tonight. Good to have you great folks with us. And let's get started. The opener tonight. You're in the right place. You're in the right place. Y'all in short. Some of you, y'all in short if I miss your name. The thing going by so fast. It's going by so fast. There's only so much you by I can read. All right, Joy Kosha. Terrence Beaton. Good to have you on the live tonight. And Colin Grant. Wanda and I see Nigel again. And Valme and Alson Cortez. Alson said keep calling. I'll call you Alson. Wanda, I see we got Margaret Nelson in the live too. Big shout out to Margaret. Yep, our superstar, our very own superstar, Margaret Nelson is here. Ingrid King and Wynn Brown, not forgetting. Alexis Douglas, Giselle Chip, of course. I see Jacqueline Johnson is here. All our favorite folks. Sabrina Jacobs is here as well, and Joy Wong. Good to have all of you. Oh, Scraps Candy is you. And Sonia Sargent. Good to have you, wonderful folks. I trust you all have had a good day. I trust Everett joining me from Brooklyn. I trust you all have had a fantastic day. Mandy Cummins, I see you too, and Donna Miller, Audrey Brown. Good to have all of you. We can call this name for the next hour. I don't mind, you know. I don't mind. Y'all just save me some hard work. You know how? Y'all just save me some hard work. But let's get into it, folks. You open it tonight. Something to whet the appetite, to open the appetite, tickle your fancy. You know how? Here's where we start tonight. The PNCR had a process today. Do you want to start it? Let us start with the wake for Soraya Bourne, who perished on the 26th of October. That dastardly act there on Regent Street, the bombing of the mobile gas station. We want to get to the bottom of that. Some of our colleagues or members of parliament for APNU, they were a part of that vigil. And, you know, I want to, just in case you missed it, want to share their thoughts with you folks. Let us begin there tonight. Take a look and take a listen.
The nation held a candlelight vigil for 6-year-old Soraya Bourne, who died in an explosion at the mobile service gas station at the corner of Regent and King Streets. The explosion occurred on October 26, 2025. Member of Parliament Nima Flubes said at the vigil that many know that it isn't easy to lose a loved one.
It's not easy to lose this child in such a manner. But remember that God says He's ever present. All we need to do is to hold on to His hands.
Member of Parliament Dexter Todd was another speaker. He said that people are living at a time when they can't ignore what is happening in society.
This act was a coward act. This act was intended to drive fear and to intimidate us as Guyanese. I call on all of us as Guyanese to hold together, to be strong and to demonstrate that this act will not deter us.
He said that the young must realize that they have to play an active role in the development of the society. He said that the nation must hold the government accountable.
Can you believe they shout and promulgate? When I talk about promulgate, they say time and time again that Guyana is the fastest growing economy in the world. But why is it in this day and age, Guyana still has one of the weakest security systems at our borders? How can we explain to the family tonight that a man who is a stranger to this country was allowed to come through our borders with items that were illegal?
APNU parliamentary leader Dr. Terence Campbell said that Guyana has got to be a place where children can feel safe.
We were warned that there were sleeper agents in our country. They knew this, but we didn't do anything. I don't want to make tonight political. I want to make tonight where we remember Soraya and her bereaved family.
The vigil attracted a crowd of people who vowed that they will not tolerate any other incident that would claim the life of another child.
Yep. Sad state of affairs, folks. And we want to get to the bottom of that. We have to get to the bottom of that. As I said today on the APNU presser, too many of these investigations seem to go nowhere. They start, you might even get a COI commence, but never comes to any satisfactory end, especially not for the people of this country. And I'm sure if I talk long enough, you could start listing in the comment section here, because you all are so bright. Lots of these investigations to nowhere. To nowhere. The PPP, they have a tendency, not a tendency, this is a disposition, a predisposition to protect, to shield their own. And part of our discussion tonight, I should touch on that very issue. You know, the unequal treatment of people in this country is not a one guy, it's many Guyanas, different strokes for different folks, and the law is applied so unevenly. As we begin tonight, during the course of that press conference, today, for the People National Congress Reform and Partnership for National Unity, I spoke to this issue because we were asked whether we were satisfied with the investigation. And we're not. You're not safe where you are. None of us are. We hope that we are. I was buying some ice cream somewhere in the city the other day, and some folks came in, and we talk about the Venezuelans, the two Venezuelan gentlemen who were the main suspect in this horrific bombing here that claimed the life of 6-year-old Soraya born. And some Venezuelans came in. I can't tell if I wasn't a little worried. You know, honestly, I speak the truth. If I lie, I would have told you so. I was a little worried. You know, you just don't know. And there's just that sense of fear. And until we have a command of this situation, folks, we ain't going no place. Am I the only one? Am I the only one? I'm not saying every Venezuelan who comes here illegally or want to cause us harm. You know, that would be egregious of me to say that. I never say that. You know, I love me some our Venezuelan brothers and sisters. It's the leadership we got some problems with over there, but I think we got some nice Venezuelans. They ain't got no problem with us, we border or nothing like that. They just want to eke out a living for themselves and their family. You know, just like we've been to lots of other countries and eked out a living too, and not try to harm anybody. You know, I would hazard most Venezuelans are like that, right? But we got to safeguard our people. Guyana first, protect our people, you know. And I don't believe, this is what I really want to come to. I don't believe that the authorities are doing it sufficiently. And part of what I said today is information. Can you imagine? They want to convince us, Latoya Schultz, that this was such a tragedy and they care so much. You had one press conference. One press conference. What has happened since? Where are we now? They said they were looking for a motive. But like if we don't ask, we don't follow up, nobody would volunteer any information for us. And we live in a country. Grace, tell me if I lie. Really, you can tell me too. Right? We live in a country where there's a trust deficit in the Ghana police force. Because remember, I don't have to convince you that this was the same police force who said they see the little girl going in the black and red rum. Y'all remember that? 23rd day of April. Can't forget it. 23rd day of April, the beat the chest. We should be on eye. The good book, some of you haven't been watching us from the church tonight. The good book said the wicked said, see it my own eye. The little girl going in the ram, they swear to God. Next day, what happened? What happened the next day? After the search, she pulled 10 times the night before. Body in the pool. And so, not only on that issue, on so many other issues. One of the things we're contending with, we learned that the main suspect in the unlawful shooting of Quindon Bacchus, there was a no-case submission upheld against him recently. You all remember the aftermath of the Quindon Bacchus shooting? They said Quindon Bacchus had a weapon and he charged the police and all that. Never mind, he was shot multiple times in his back. You all remember that? So there's a trust deficit. And then when you're dealing with the wedding planner and the nanny and, you know, people who approach the business sector for the stakeholders for help with wedding and all of this. The point I'm making, and I hope I've made it sufficiently thus far, is there's a trust deficit. I didn't put it there. They robbed that upon themselves. And so when they're being cagey, we have cause to wonder. You show me a picture and say there's an AI. And when I see the real man, it looked nothing like this. I gotta be worried. I have a healthy appreciation for artificial intelligence. You know that. This is one of the things I'm saying in front of. Right? A healthy appreciation for it. And so I know if you as well, if you got superior technology, you can get a close approximation. Right? You can't get nobody looking like X and you get Y. Right? Like a mango and then you get a CDM. This is part of the issue we raised today as part of this press conference. And I said on behalf of a Partnership for National Unity and PNCR, we're not satisfied with where things are. Take a look and take a listen to some of my comments early on in the day at that press conference.
We're very concerned about that, and we're not satisfied with the investigation. As you know, we have a police force in this country that suffers from a tremendous deficit of trust. The country does not trust the Ghana police force and anything that they say. And one of the things that we think will begin to remedy that is more information. But there's been a paucity of information surrounding this investigation. As a matter of fact, it's the APNU PNCR that has been pushing from day one since this horrific incident happened. And perhaps I should have prefaced my response initially by saying our thoughts and prayers with the family of Soraya Bourne. You know, this is a very terrible time for them as a family, as you can imagine, and we wish a speedy recovery to all of the family members who were badly injured in this horrific bombing incident on the 26th. But we see it as very, very important that we get to the bottom of it. Too many things happen in this country, and we never get to the bottom of the investigation in a way to satisfy the Guyanese people. Think about the 20 young people we lost at Madia under this government. Think about the 5 servicemen that we lost to that helicopter crash, at the helicopter belonging to the GDF. We haven't gotten to the bottom of that investigation. And then we have this latest bombing, tragedy of immense proportion. But we want to get to the bottom of it, and that is why we have submitted a series of questions through the National Assembly directed at various subject ministers, of which the Home Affairs Minister is key, getting to the bottom of this investigation. We want to know what happened before. Was the government alerted to threats emanating from Venezuela or anyone before this incident happened? There has been 2 such incidents in the past. We want to know what the government knew, when they knew it, and what actions did they take. We want to know about the interagency collaboration on such an investigation. And more than that, some of the adjacent issues. If you listen to the family, their treatment at the Georgetown Hospital on the night of that incident leaves much to be desired. We want to know about the kinds of support, financial and otherwise, through perhaps the Ministry of Human Services that is available to families like this. We want to know from the Ministry of Natural Resources that might have some input here, and also the Ministry of Public Works, as well as the Ministry of Home Affairs. Was this an area that had drills done? These are soft targets in the city. We had the bombing at the East Repentance police station, that detonation there, and then we had the substation at GPL at the entrance to South Ramveld. So we had some recent past incidents within the last 6 months. How serious did the government take these 2 previous activities? We haven't gotten to the bottom of those as yet. And then we have this 3rd incident. And as I said, we've submitted a number of questions, and a number of even more questions are coming. For instance, the government tells us that the 2 persons who came from Venezuela landed at a particular region and at a particular point. We want to know how well those points that the government knows are susceptible to these kinds of incursions are being manned now, how they were manned in the past, and how they're going to be manned going forward. We want to get to the bottom of how 2 persons could slip through the intelligence that we have, all the boasts of how they're modernizing with smart security and all of that. That is all well and good for the post-mortem, but we want to know how this is going to prevent future actions, and we have some suggestions and recommendations of our own. But we want to get to the bottom of how 2 Venezuelan nationals, according to the government, slipped through our intelligence and our security apparatus and architecture and committed this dastardly act in the heart of the city, because we want to protect all Guyanese moving forward. So we see it as very, very important. And this investigation isn't closed, isn't wrapped up by a long shot in our minds.
Yeah, some of my thoughts on behalf of the Washington for National Unity and People's National Congress we formed today during that press. We're going to touch on some more of those issues as we progress. But let us start soft. Let's bring you in soft this evening on some of the issues that we're following, some of the stories that are trending on social media. I really want to say congratulations to all of those teachers out of CPCE who are graduating today. We told 1,300 of them, a large cohort, 1,345 to be specific, have completed training at the Cyril Potter College of Education. And I pray to God, we're not just graduating teachers for exports. We're not just producing a product for export, that we pay our teachers well in a way that they want to stay. They're not forced to stay, but they want to stay because it's nice time. Some of that oil money and soon gas money coming back into their pockets, and you could live. And, this should be our time. Friends had the time, favorites had the time, flatterers had the time. This should be our time, folks. Guyanese, I've been to places like Antigua and Trinidad, Antigua in particular, and I was so impressed. This is 10, 15 years ago, how nurses could live and work in a place like Antigua, a beautiful place like Antigua, and off of this salary, they could build a house and ain't got to punish They could buy a nice, what we consider here a high-end vehicle, you see, and they don't have to be indebted to a bank for the rest of their lives because teachers are valued in that society. And I hope it would be the same for us here. And if a teacher wants to drive a Mercedes, that is not a far-fetched dream, or a Kia Sorento or whatever it is, but we could live. We could put in by the sweat of our brow, we could live and work. We could live and work. And not only that, we could play nicely too. We could play hard as well. That ought to be what we envision for our people. If you tell me we just live and we just walk and dead, can't even afford a little vacation someplace in your own country. That's terrible, man. That's terrible. Leadership ought to fix a couple problems. I pray God the strength and the wisdom. Well, I have my part of the relay to run, that I fix a couple of things, man. And I fix a couple of things in my time and my tenure. But congratulations again to all those teachers who are graduating. I could imagine it's a proud moment. I could imagine for all of those teachers who walk that stage and receive that certificate, all the hard work has paid off. And as it often does, hard work pays off, And listen, they say success is when preparation that these teachers have been doing meets opportunity. You get success, but some people want force-drive the thing. Some people want a kind of microwave kind of success. You see, when you go through, when you come through, you stand on that stage, man, you see those teachers beaming today. You saw those teachers beaming today. Congratulations to them, each and every one of them. Like I said, I hope that they stay. They put in the work, and not only that, they get the result. You don't gotta go and protest for 60 days for what is rightfully yours, and then somebody betray the struggle. You understand how people lose faith? And the enemy come in and sit down with me. Protest for 60 odd days, and then somebody come and betray the struggle. Shame on the person, man. But I don't want to digress. Congrats to all our teachers. And you know what else? Our students. Well, our teachers who were students. But we have some students who are graduating as well. Well, not graduating, but have achieved a measure of success. And this is our CAPE and CSEC students. Mahesh and Sarah have topped. And we want to say congrats to them and all the others who, again, like our graduating teachers, they have put in the work, man. They have put in the work, and now they're getting the results, And congrats to all our top students, led by one Mahesh, I hope I'm calling it right, and Sarah. The girls are leading. The girls are leading. Come on, guys. Don't let us down now. Healthy competition among the genders, you see. But folks, overall, congrats. Congrats to the parents as well. Sometimes we miss them. And the teachers, because we understand all the others. The busman, the carman, the shopkeeper. It says, it is said that it takes a village. It takes a village. I've been grateful to have so many people contribute to my education. So many people. I have no doubt that these young people could perhaps look back and see auntie and uncle, the late nights when mommy stayed up, when daddy drove me to lessons, came and picked me up and all of that. And now they're getting the measure, they're reaping the harvest of that effort that they put in. Congrats to our students. And I pray God. Now, because we got this oil money now, you see, we could create an enabling environment for our students that it might not get ordinarily. We have to understand that our students come from so many varied backgrounds around this country. And we got to try, because we got the money now, to make life a little easier. The far out you go in this country, the more extreme the living is. But even for folks, you must choose to live hard and tough. Not because you have to. You must make a choice for that. But you got the resources at your fingertip to shine. And folks, I'm telling you, some of these young people like Mahesh and Sarah, they're like an answer running to a question of their time. And they perhaps, got the answer to some of the perplexing questions we've been faced with. And we've been kicking the can down the road for so long. Congratulations to each and every one of them. And if you're a parent and you know a parent of such a successful student, and even those who didn't do so well, give them our regards. Give them our regards. It's not an easy thing. It's not an easy thing. And kids, my God, congrats to each and every one of them. Congrats. So we're going to start you all on that light note. We wanted to start you all on that light note. Yeah. Good evening to each and every one of you, those of you who are now joining us. You're now tuning in. You're in the right place. Yeah, man. You went down the wrong alley. We try to start you all off soft, and then we bring you all into some heavier issues. Like this one. Finally, our brother got bail. We talk about the unevenness of justice in this country. Right? You have a Jennifer Ali, you got a Skello, you got a Devon Sears, and you got the man with the cell phone shop. And you look at this country and you say, our young people, they aren't silly. You know when your kids coming into their own, the question they ask, they're making sense of life, and they can look at things now and make sense of it, and they look at this and say, this can't be the country we want to raise our kids in. Based on who you know, you can get X, Y, and Z. You can drive without fitness. You can drive without insurance. Nobody can touch you, because of who you know, or who know you. You can get access to different resources while others are barely getting by. That can't be the kind of country. We don't condone. I don't condone for 1 minute, the alleged actions of former MP Devon Sears. But the law must be the law for all. And see, that is why I love the tenets of Christianity, right? And those of you who are Hindus and Muslims, I'm certain we can find common ground. It is a good book that tells us there is one body, one spirit. It's not plenty. Yeah. Too many spirits is demonic business. It's not, sir. Look. I hang up my gloves on this politics. I go into ministry for my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. One body, one faith, one sanctification. It's not plenty. One law. That's how we know we turn the corner of the haves and haves not, the empowered and out of power. People can't fathom it. That we live in a country where members in the opposition can't work with the government, can't work in government ministries. Private sector got a place for you. A man could call and find out, how much you got in your account. If you can insure, they know which levers to pull, so you can feel the pinch. They call your employers and tell them all sorts of things. I was working at one place. One man used to smile with me. And then he got and said, why are you working here? Right? He don't like the government. Why are you working here? And then when he see me, hi, Mrs. Duncan. How are you doing, man? I hope you're great. Hypocrites. Hypocrites. I work at the place. Friend of mine, still a friend of mine to this day. When I got on there, he gave me my orientation. I'll tell you what it was. It might do some of you well. Sometimes we think everybody that smiles with me like we. Sometimes your broad is smile is more dangerous. People dangerous, My friend, he catch me in the car one day. He said, Duncan. He said, Mr. Duncan, you see in this place here, when the party in your back is not happy, they're happy for you. When the party in your back, they're happy for you. It's the soft spot, the feeling for plunging knife. I live to see the day. The man words rang true. I live to see the day. But we got to do better. We got to do much, much better. See President APNU on the world stage and talking about how much they value the environment. I laugh because, these are the same set of people got no problem, mowing down a whole set of what do you call it? The plant that keeps the ocean at bay, the mangroves. They ain't got no problem doing that. In the interest of business, if they gotta build a house and them trees gotta come down, they sit and they come and sell you. Why it's important that those trees build their house? So sometimes I watch at them. You understand me? And they're still trying to find the point to balance. Drill, baby, drill, and pump, baby, pump out everything. Don't let back nothing. We can't back nothing to Jesus. Pump out everything. Drill, baby, drill, and still trying to be good stewards of the environment. It's a delicate balancing act. And that is the kind of people that's kill you. Come and cry at your funeral, and they're satisfied with that. They fight your family to read the eulogy. I know them top to bottom. Yeah, I know them top to bottom. So they're trying to find a delicate, very delicate balancing act, and they're telling us that President Arfan Ali is calling for urgent and fair climate action. Charity begins at home. So there he was urging world leaders at this major climate change summit to adopt science-based transition. But you can persuade the American president. Science-based transition policies, and he criticized climate change denial. Pim pim. Pim pim. Bam bam. Climate change denial. And he's called for a fair energy transition that supports the developing countries, emphasizing the need for substantial adaptation and funding and integration of forest conservation in climate strategies. I just want to get a little power when we plug in. And that we pursue renewable sources of energies. I don't see a big push for that. I think we feel like we got the oil for the next 200 years. And for 5 years plus producing oil. How are your pockets doing? How is your pockets doing? All right. So much for that. So much for that. And now I saw yesterday in the Lambo presser. The Lambo Flambeau presser. I didn't see that either. You don't worry. I didn't see that either. I saw some edicts almost. Like we don't even need a National Assembly in this country. We don't even need a parliament if you listen to the PPP. Or we can give residency, but they won't be allowed to vote. Oh, yes. You see, this is just to hold PPY, right? A bombing in Regent Street would just be incidental to them keeping power. If they got to bring the whole Venezuela to vote for them and give residency and so on, so be it. Whatever else happens is collateral damage for them keeping and maintaining power. And that's sad. You don't get residency, but you can't vote. Right? I wonder if they would be honoring international commitments, the treaties we sign and so on. What strikes me, and it must bother a few Guyanese. It must bother a few Guyanese. Is this regime seem to go out of its way almost, right, to bring comfort to Venezuelan migrants in this country, almost bending over backward. I see in some instances, you lie here your whole life, born here, bled here. Can't even get a little 1 acre. People get big expanse of land for Chodang, for settlement and so on. And you live and you say, what people doing here, man? You go to Mabaroom and so on, you see different places and settlement to 300 and big expanses and so on, people getting, you getting a, check the land you get, this 0.001 something of an acre. By the time you come out your back door, you stretch your hand touching the back fence. People used to be able to get the proper piece of land to build, to live. You can plant little edo, little broadleaf, what have you. Now you got a little passage inside your house. And then I'm hearing they're telling us there's no landing like this urban area that we occupy, the city and its environs. And then you see big clearing for companies and friends and family and favorites. It's a kind of wickedness that is unmatched. But I want you to know, in all of this, is the PPP laying out its agenda. And they come in for tell you, they care about you. Vote for the local government election. And by the time 2030 creep up, you living like tenants in your own country. Right? Mere prophecy coming true, little by little, God forbid. Tenants in your own country. And they want you to like it. So say, well, we give a residency now without voting rights. Right? We see the National Assembly yet, you know. But they're laying out their agenda. You see? We got to lay out our agenda too. And that is what we have been doing. You know? I'd love to hear some of the legislative agenda, parliamentary agenda of some of our other parties out there. But I don't know, they seem to have gone very quiet. Eerily quiet. I know they're about to explode, implode, or, you know, don't let me use those words loosely, especially at this time. They're about to cave in, or you get it. But today, that PNCR presser, Vincent Jordan was laying out there some of the agenda, for our legislative work. Laying out that agenda in the short term, the medium term, and then it's 5 years ahead of us, you know. So we're pacing ourselves. You hear? We're pacing ourselves. Take a look and take a listen. Member of Parliament, Vincent Jordan.
What we expect out of this is for the government to look and see the benefits of these motions. Take, for example, the motion with regards to GCOM, the Representation of the People Act that speaks to biometrics and verification. We have been calling since 2021, we have been in the streets and we've been asking that GCOM move to the position of giving to us biometrics and a clean voters list. Every single Guyanese knows that is the need of Guyanese, and the Election Commission must move towards that. It is now time, after Barra Jagjo himself would have called for that after he lost the 2015 elections, it is now time that when we take it to the National Assembly, they see it fit to work together so that we can have legislation that can be able to change the composition and the working of GCOM with regards to the list and with regards to biometrics at the place of poll. Also, it is now for Guyanese to understand whether the government is truly honest when they speak about fair, credible, and just election, because they have been saying that they want fair election. They have been saying that they want credible election. We know that the cry of every single Guyanese and every political party, except for the PPP after elections, is that these elections were not fair. They were not credible. And so at a time as this, I believe that when we take this motion to the National Assembly, it is for the government to see the necessity of the motion. It is the government to understand that this is also needed at the level of the Guyanese Elections Commission, so as to be able to bring to Guyanese credible elections. And so I believe with that in mind, and for all of Guyana to see, the government will be able to then, or they will be pushed to join us in having these motions passed. And the same is true for the others. When you look at the Natural Resource Fund Act, we would understand from a political party standpoint that there's an abuse on the revenues coming into the Natural Resource Fund Act. We want to take away from the control of the fund, the political direct control of the government, whereby they decide what, when, and how to spend our monies. And we want an oversight whereby all of Guyana would be satisfied that both government and opposition, the entire legislature, and Guyanese would know and see where our monies are going. And for that, you would also know that the APNU AFC government would have also, that was the beginning of how the act was. We started by saying that we want all the monies to be accounted for. We want Guyana to see and know in a transparent manner how these monies would be spent. We don't want any stronghold of control over the act. And now that Guyanese has been brought up to date with what is happening through Dr. Campbell and others who would have sat on that commission or that board, we intend to put this forward to the government, and we await their response and whether they would support. But we know that it is something that is beneficial to all Guyanese.
Yeah, and then I kind of picked up on that GCOM bit and some more on the legislative agenda for APNU.
In terms of GCOM, let us remember it was the observer missions, the international observer missions in particular, that raised a number of issues in their own reporting. I would hazard that it's more than 60 issues collectively, more than 70 that they have raised. Some of them we have raised in the past, and so they agree with the same issues that we agree with in terms of making our electoral systems more robust, and biometrics is just a tip of the iceberg. And we are hoping that through the National Assembly that the PPP can agree that if we are all to be satisfied with the results emanating from GCOM in future elections, the entire complexion not only of the Natural Resource Fund Board and how that fund operates, but also the Elections Commission, there is significant recommendation that GCOM has to undergo significant changes if Guyanese across the political and social divide in this country are to feel comfortable in the future with results that emanate from GCOM. And I want to pick up too on the whole notion of if we're satisfied that the PPP might work along with us. That is just a small part of it. This is the people's house, and we have an onus to show that we are ready on day one to govern this country. And that is why we have a very, very robust parliamentary agenda and work program. And look, we understand that we have other political parties in the House. We submitted close to 40 motions and questions and bills we want to see make the order paper in the near term. But we could have easily submitted 500 and tried to dominate the entire parliamentary agenda. But we're eager to see also what the PPP wants to table. We're eager to see too what WIN wants to table, and also what Forward Guyana movement want to table, because they're part of this, they're part of the stakeholders in the National Assembly. But the people ultimately, we want to be able to show to the people of this country that we understand these issues, and we are willing to move these issues forward in the national interest. I think that is what it's about. The bottom line of it, in the national interest, we believe that every issue that we have submit and will be submitting in the near future and throughout this 13th Parliament are substantive issues that, if given adequate consideration in the National Assembly, can redound to the benefit of all Guyanese.
That was colleague Vintroy Jordan, joined by Twitter Finance and yours truly, Cynthia Rutherford, as well, part of laying out the APNU's legislative agenda in the National Assembly. And that's just a tip of the iceberg there, really and truly, of the agenda that we want to see move forward in the National Assembly over the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And we think again that, we have agreement. This country could be a better place. Nice time for everybody. Nice time for everybody. This issue of the Chancellor of the Judiciary came up, and the intervention of the Caribbean Court of Justice President also came up, and apparently he reached out to the then leader of the opposition, Mr. Aubrey Norton, perhaps trying to lobby him to get his support for the acting Chief Justice, now acting Chancellor, to be confirmed in that substantive role. Yep, and many are saying that was very, very out of character. I might even border on actions that threaten the independence of the CCJ. All of these issues came out in today's presser, and we know, yes, from yesterday's Flambeau and Lambeau press conference, we heard again some of the rolling out of the PPP zone, a parliamentary agenda, at least them hinting at it. In our presser today, we were asked about how our Indigenous brothers and sisters may have voted in the last election and what may have contributing to them shifting their positions in places like Region 10. And our sister, I think, Director Finance had some commentary on that, and I may have assisted meagerly as well. Take a look and take a listen.
A new era has dawned for Region 7. We Invest in Nationhood won the region that was once controlled by the People's National Congress. The people are awaiting the level of representation that they will be afforded in the National Assembly. Member of Parliament Joretta Finance said that there were many factors that led to Win capturing the region.
The impact that party had seems to be more of a new kid on the block effect, in which persons saw a lot of underdog kind of reaction to the party. There's a lot of fight that came from the PPP government at the personal level to the leadership of the party, and they had the underdog, new kid on the block effect overall. It's just not in Region 7, but several other regions as well.
She said that her party will show the people that it will represent their interests.
We are capable, competent, fit and ready to represent them at every single level. Our aim is to regain ground in every single region that we have lost, and we will go relentlessly until we achieve our mission of doing that.
Leader of the People's National Congress, Aubrey Norton, said that there were many things that forced the change.
Is that the PPP deliberately impoverished the African Guyanese community and the Indigenous communities. It is very clear that when used the resources at his disposal, whether legally gotten or ill-gotten, and was able to impact in a way that allowed them to achieve what they would have achieved.
That there was a situation in which bribery of the electorate played a great part. Member of Parliament Sherrod Duncan said that his party spent a lot of time in the various hinterland communities.
Keiko, Kaikan, Joala, Kamarang, there was one consistent message, as the leader said there, is one of impoverishment. Our Indigenous brothers and sisters live very impoverished lives in lots of instances, not because of choice. And you heard lots of it coming out during the course of the election, places like Chinowing, for instance, across the hinterland. And that was a consistent message people heard coming out. And as Rita said also, that is what we are bringing to the National Assembly. Solutions, not just observations.
The policy of PNCR is to get relief to the hinterland communities. Any handouts that the people received was for the short term.
Because it is not a sustainable thing long term. For individuals, you just don't have it like that. You know, whether you have billions or you have millions or thousands, you just don't have it for a 5-year or 10-year, 20-year period. It's not an indefinite resource one might have.
Duncan said that while the cash grant might have been welcomed in the coast, it was a trickle into hinterland.
Because of the inflation, because of the cost of living disparity that affects the hinterland, in an even deeper way, that we have to rethink all of those things going forward. We were at Mbamadai, for instance, where a bottle of cooking gas is $16,000. In some places, a pound of chicken is $1,000. This is the kind of hardship that our Indigenous brothers and sisters live. They live the experience.
No amount of us going out there with a few handouts and giving some persons little help here and help there, that does not change the overarching issue. The issue is policy based, and only policy change can fix it. And that is where we're going to go out and push in that direction, so that the Indigenous communities, rural communities, all affected Guyanese that needs assistance and alleviation from the hardship they're in will be represented by the APNU in the National Assembly.
Yeah. Some of the issues we're following tonight, folks, and as we leave you for the weekend, hope that you have a great, enjoyable time with your friends, your family, your favorites, your loved ones over this weekend. We got a Forex problem. And it's interesting because it seems to be like an anomaly because the government has pumped 1.2, 1.3 billion US dollars, they said. Am I right? US dollars into the Forex economy, in the Forex market, and that seemed to have done nothing. Businesses are complaining badly. And this is not us saying it. Newsroom just today carried this. Yesterday, as a matter of fact, carried a story. Businesses having to wait 3 weeks for little foreign exchange, little foreign currency to do their business internationally. We just pumped 1 billion US. Who eating up that Forex, boy? Who eating that up? Who making money off of that? You'll be surprised. You'll be surprised. But let us leave it there, folks. Thanks for being here with us. Thanks for being here with us all week long. We're going to be back next week, fired up and ready to go. Have a fantastic weekend. Here is where we leave it. Cycling and Julian and Wilma, good to have you. Deborah and all the other folks, congrats to our teachers graduating. Congrats to our student, Cape and CSEC, getting the results that you wanted, you worked for. Congrats to all of you. Guys, have a great weekend. Tammy and Osmond and Deborah, Savage and Loretta, Siobhan McDonald. Have a great weekend, folks. Share the like before you go. Please and thank you. Smash that emoji button as well. We got over 2,000 of you joining us live tonight, folks. And we cherish your presence here. Have a great evening. That's the time. Forbes, Mandy, right? Meiji, Leonard, Anthony, Everett, Sandra, Carlisle. Have a great weekend. All of you, each and every